My guest today is Konstantin. Konstantin is the CEO at DRPC, Performant and Reliable Web3 Infrastructure. Yes, indeed. Welcome to the show, Konstantin.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Konstantin, for coming on the show. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be cool if you could please introduce yourself. I would love it if you could tell us, a little bit about what you've been doing in the lead up to, joining the team at DRPC.
Thank you for the opportunity. So basically what we built here, it's pretty intelligent load balancing solution. And some of our users, some of the players from Web3 market thinking about us as just yet another RPC provider, like Alchemy, Infura, QuickNote, something like that. But actually we are not just RPC provider. It's more like complementary services of our main product. Because from the beginning, we built distributed system, distributed platform that combine different providers under the hood, under the load balancing solution. Why it's really important and why it's really different from just RPC provider, as previously mentioned, like Alchemy, Infura, and so on. When you work with such kind of guys, you rely only on their centralized infrastructure. For example, in case of Alchemy, it's usually AWS. So you build your decentralized applications based on Amazon infrastructure. And it totally doesn't make any kind of sense because if RPC that you work with does not work, your application does not work. So basically you build a truly centralized application, but you lie everybody that it's decentralized. It's first point. Second point, it's more not about narratives or ideological side. It's more about high performance systems. If you rely only on one provider, if something happened, you are fully fucked. You can't just, solve it anyhow because you can't, change the link on new provider without any kind of contract or something like that straight away, in the same second. So most likely your application will just goes down and your end users will lose market opportunity. They can't use your application. So most likely they will go to your competitors. And there is a point because in our case, we provide an opportunity to small, medium-sized companies like providers from the space to compete with all of these big old players. And from one side, we help them with any kind of marketing side, development side, sales, technical support, and so on. So basically provide everything that old players already have in place. But from another side, we help end users because they don't need to spend time on finding okay, there's a new chain, for example, Unichain from Uniswap or Ink from Kraken. And all the time, if you want to add a new chain to your application, you need to go to the Google, ask something about okay, where I can find Ink RPC or whatever chain, like HyperIVM or something like that. And most likely you will find some pretty bad websites without any kind of history or reliability. Maybe it will be just small RPC that was spun up by Caldera or some other reliable service platform without any kind of high availability or something like that. But when gRPC comes into the play, we support more than 100 chains. And usually when something new appears, we already support it. Just because all of these chains know that gRPC currently it's a leading platform for new chains, for multi-chain environment. And that's why they comes to us and we integrate their chains first at the market or maybe in the first, at least in the day one, because we already integrated everything. And that's why it solves a lot of problems for applications who build on top of multi-chain, because they don't need to spend this time. They don't need to work with different providers with different interfaces, billing systems, technical support standards, and so on. So basically, they just come to us and they know that all chains already here with the same like statistics, management, and so on.
Yeah. Very well explained, Konstantin. I think another way of thinking about this is it's actually it's a tweet you sent quite recently. You've got a great Twitter account, but you said something like your next 10 million users won't ask or care what chain you're on. They will ask, however, does it load quickly? Is it fast? Is it safe? If something goes wrong, can I recover? And then you said something like, that's infra talking. And that's the difference between infra and marketing. Right, Konstantin?
Yeah, there is a pretty huge problem that I believe like me or nor you, we can't say right now how many tokens at the market, how many blockchains at the market, because like if you want to just run the blockchain and make some marketing bullshit, you can do that pretty quickly and pretty cheap, and nobody will use it, like, and nobody need it, but it will be there. And if we speak about, let's say, even nearest future, we will see that there will be a lot of new, let's say, app chains, any kind of side chains, L2, L3, and so on, just because it's really easy right now. And if you have some kind of auditory, some kind of like target audience with, let's say, followers or users of your application, it's pretty easy to you just to build something on top of your own blockchain. And for end users, they don't care. Like they want to buy some, let's say, meme coin, or they want to just buy some Bitcoin or Ethereum, but they don't care how it is under the hood. And that's why people really don't care. They care only about like safety. It should be like good UX for them, and that's it. Because we started as a like anarchists who was like really, excited about ideology of decentralized finance and so on. But we need to be also kind of like not just dreamers, but also we need just to look at real economics and how all of these things works. And we need to understand that currently 90+% of crypto users, it's not like ideologically the same users as it was like in 2015 or 2017. So basically right now it's guys who just, started to work with something new. It's some kind of cool. They're trying to make money on that in most cases. And they don't really care about like technology under the hood. And our goal here, I mean, like in the broader meaning, not just gRPC, but also like any kind of other platforms who work with account abstractions, with like wallets and so on. They just need to provide an ability to solve the problem for users, not to just, like provide one and another one blockchain or something like that. Basically, on the long term, I believe all users will just work with several wallets, and everything will be like under the hood, and they will don't care like what is used to like for swap, 1inch, Uniswap, whatever. Nobody cares. On what chains it is, nobody cares. They just use, let's say, MetaMask. They switch one token to another, and that's it.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Very much agree, Konstantin. But, you guys at DRPC, you offer access to, I believe it's over, 90 blockchains, 160 networks, maybe more than that now. How do you manage kind of, such extensive coverage while still ensuring performability, low latency, reliability, all of that kind of stuff that, infrastructure kind of lives or dies by?
Actually, it was one of the main points that when we started, because when we started development of gRPC, it was internal product of P2P.org. It's one of the biggest infra provider in the space who work with staking, with indexing solution for the graph, and like a lot of other projects on the infra side, let's say. And we like struggled with managing all of these RPCs, and it was, from our perspective, it was almost like impossible to handle all of this because it was around, I believe, 30 chains on something like that. And back in those days, we thought like, well, it's just impossible. It's just too much to serve all of them. And we also understood that we can't handle all of these 30 chains on the good level inside of P2P regarding to RPC. That's why we just focused on like 15 or something like that, and everything else was from different providers. So it was really like challenge for us how to manage all of these like different providers in the one place together with our self-hosted nodes and so on. And that's why we just started it. But like Web3, it's really a small world. Everybody speaks with everybody, and other guys, other providers understood that we built something that really helped us, and they told us maybe you will share it with us. Maybe we will just, maybe you can make it like open source, or maybe we can just, like connect somehow. And that's why we just started the gRPC as a public product from the idea like, okay, we will start with just like 10 or 12 RPC providers. And there's a point. Starting from the beginning, we thought about creating not just like RPC service for Ethereum or RPC service for Solana. We understood that like, okay, there's already 30 chains and it's quite challenging, but most likely it will be much more in the future. And nobody can handle all of them just like centralized way. That's why we just need to create software that will be designed initially for multi-chain future with like a lot of chains under the hood, and it should be like as flexible as possible regarding to load balancing solutions with chain-specific stuff. And how it works in our case. If somebody like, let's say, Alchemy or Infura want to add new chain, they most likely need to hire new DevOps engineers, just because like they already have some kind of capacity and so on. In our case, we just combine like a lot of providers. Currently, it's more than 40. So it's like 40 different companies from like around the globe. And all of them constantly hiring DevOps engineers, rearranging resources, and so on. And we also have really long wait list of providers who want to join to gRPC. So in that case, when we connect guys or like current providers, they can just focus on some chains and they can build expertise, for example, on Monad or maybe on Zero-G chain. Old players don't have this expertise. New players have it. And in general, they are really good in tech anyway, just because all of them not newcomers. They're like really several years in the infra space for Web3. So that's why it's not so complicated for us to add new chain as it's complicated for any kind of centralized player. Yeah.
So you mentioned the load balancer. So it's an AI driven load balancer. I guess that optimizes requests, optimizing routing. How does that make what you guys are doing that much more efficient and effective? What are the strategies that would help you guys maintain service resilience?
Yeah, actually, it's a really good question because I believe like previous week I spoke with one of VC funds who like interesting in our round, and they also asked me like, okay, why you need AI? Like how it works? You just add it just because it's like AI hype, and that's why. And I understood that it's pretty complicated to explain all of cool features that we have under the hood, just because it became too techy. And in that case, people just usually, like there's too much information for me. So, and now I'm just trying to understand, okay, how to show only the most important part of the product without too much details. Regarding to AI-based balancer, it's actually really AI-based balancer. It's not just a buzzword, just because we implemented it before the hype, probably like around 2 years ago, and constantly improving it. Why it should be AI? Just because previously our engineers created it based on algorithms, and they just every week or so they change the formula to make it better and better regarding to routing. But we understood like pretty quickly that with growing number of networks, with growing number of like different clients for chains, like for example, it could be Res, Guess, Erigon, other And that's why there's a lot of specifics. And you can't cover it just you like manually adding some new new terms in your algorithm or something like that. And that's why we started to experimenting with AI algorithms. And even like after several months of implementing it, we got 20% latency improvement. So what it means? It means that based on AI algorithms, we don't need to send requests to providers who actually can serve this request in this particular minute. And it means that in average, your users will get response much quicker, and your interface, if you use gRPC, will be much smoother without, like spinners in your screen and so on. So that's why how it works right now. There's like, for example, like we have more than 100 chains, a lot of networks inside, and we build ratings inside of the system, not on the just like chain level, but for each method, there is like dozens of methods per each chain. For each method, for each network inside of each chain and in different regions. So basically, AI algorithms works with more than like 1K cases at the same time and recalculating ratings of providers. So like it's an insane job but it needed to create the best possible performance and reliability. And now there is a like next stage, let's say, of this. We got a lot of feedback from our clients because we work with biggest names from the industry. And these guys told us that like, we are really like your product, but sometimes we can't, just refuse like our thoughts about single point of failure. Yes, we understood that like you work with 40 plus providers, but still you have gateway, you have some kind of like additional tooling around it and so on. So maybe you can do something with that. And we decided that we will create on-premise version of our load balancer. So basically, if you want to do that, if you really like care about security and so on, and you need to just move single point of failure to your infra to be, like more sure about that, you can do that with our new solution that we will present soon. It will be just on-premise version of our cloud solution.
Yes, indeed. And another thing that's interesting about what you guys do is, Konstantin, you have like a pay-as-you-go model, right? So,
yeah.
And the cool thing about that is, as well as pay-as-you-go, you have there's a free tier and a paid tier. Is kind of how it works. So you can explain how the difference between those better than me, but just to explain briefly the difference between those two, and I guess how it stacks up against, like other Web3 infrastructure providers. How would you position yourself in the market, I guess, and how does it work? Yeah.
Like right now it's not so like let's say not so contrast with our competitors how it was like 3 years ago, but still it's still the case. When we started, all of our competitors, I mean like Alchemy, Infura, QuickNote, so on, they had only packages. What that means? It's not something new. It's just like pretty usual SaaS model. So you have, as a SaaS service, you have different packages, like free, cheapest one, just to, like catch you up. And after that, more expensive and more expensive. And the main idea of any kind of SaaS services is just to push you from the first one to the last one. Even if you don't need the last one, they're usually trying to push you there because they just can disable availability of some methods on like beginning packages and so on. And if you need to use the full functionality, you need to pay highest price. And nobody cares you will use all credits inside of this package or you will use just like 5%, you will pay the same amount of money. And like it's just like how it is and how it was for like 20, 30 years, I don't know, in Web 2. But interesting part here, if you use more than your package, you will pay with multiplier. Like each 1 million request will cost you like 5 times more, 10 times more, and so on. And that's why like a lot of our clients, who currently our clients, who previously worked with packages systems with other guys, they told us stories about something like, usually I pay around 2K per month, but this month was some kind of like market movements, really high volatility, and that's why we got much higher usage. And we got a bill from this company, I will not call the names, and instead of 2K, it was 25K. And like, it's really, I believe, not super fair from provider side. And there was a lot of such kind of stories. And we understood that we need to work with more like fair model, where you also have like free tariff. And also, if it's not enough for your needs, you build something that is more like resource consuming, you need more performant nodes and so on, you can switch to pay as you go. And in that case, you don't have any kind of like minimum payments, monthly fee, something like that. You just pay for what you actually use without any kind of multipliers. So basically, if you use our service only for like your 10 users of your application you just started, you will pay less than $1 per month, and nobody cares. It's just like how it is. It's pretty fair. You can build your like economics based on that, economic models, and you can predict how it works. And if you really big application, you also work with us, you always know how much you will pay. If you get more transactions and you will get more money from transactions, you will pay more for usage, and that's it. And now we also added volume-based discounts. So basically, if you consume a lot of resources with us, you will get automatically discounts without renegotiations with us, how it usually works. So we're trying to avoid any kind of, let's say, hustle on client side. They just start to work with us and they don't need to care about infra. They just care about their own product. And there is a main point here.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, Konstantin. Of course, you know, if you're using DRPC, whether I presume whether as a free user or on the paid tier, of course, you get access to a dashboard with looks like all the different metrics and so on that you would need. How does what does the dashboard show you?
Actually, it's like from, let's say, reviews of our clients. Currently, it's probably the best dashboard on the market because we're really focused on UX side of the things. And we always speak with our clients about like, okay, how we can improve it, how we can make it better for you. So that's why we don't just, it's not just dashboard, because dashboard, it's more about something that display it for you, but it's more like control panel, because you can not only look at something, you also can change something, and you can improve your way of working, let's say. For example, what we show like pretty detailed statistics about like what kind of chains you use, what kind of methods you use, how many it costs, what is the like average latency per each method and so on, per each network and so on. What is like geographical spreading among requests and so on. But it is just like more analytical info for you. But what we also do, we combine, for example, errors that you get from your requests, because sometimes you can just send wrong requests, or maybe your users send like wrong guess for sending the transactions and so on. And we combine like, for example, this kind of response and show them in the collapsed view as Sentry system provided to users. So basically, it makes any kind of debugging with our system much more easier if we compare it with our competitors, because they don't care. They just send you all the errors. And if some users may just encycle a lot of errors, you will see like 50K lines of errors from the same user from the same error. In our case, it will be totally different. Also, like one of the coolest stuff here, it's our stuff around security, because usually there's two types of usage of RPC, on the backend and on the front end. And if you use it on the backend, usually you can't compromise your API key, and nobody except of you can use it. But if it's really a decentralized application and on your website you use API key to access to the data from your web, it's pretty easy to compromise the key, and everybody will use your key, and you will pay to the providers for that. And there was a case with a lot of like pretty famous projects in the space before the moment they started to work with us, because previously providers don't care about this. It's really nice if your clients pay you a lot of money, and month over month it's just more and more and more. But we understood that if we will care about our clients, most probably they will also love us and they will stay with us. And we don't care about like, okay, they need to pay a lot of money. So that's why we work a lot, like pretty closely with SushiSwap, with guys from Curve, with a lot of other clients, and we implemented like several levels of security checks, how you can restrict requests for particular key. And it means that surface of attack for even compromised API key, it's pretty narrow, and it doesn't make sense for any kind of bad actors to use it. It's much easier just to go to, let's say, Uniswap and start to use their API key for free, just because like nobody cares about security on this API key from the provider side.
Makes perfect sense. All right. Thank you, Konstantin, for explaining that. Look, as we finish up this part of the podcast, then for anyone who is listening who may need some kind of infrastructure solution for what they're doing, explain where they should go to learn more about what you guys do and the different features that are available. Konstantin, what should they do? Where should they go?
They just can go to our website, drpc.org. There's like quite good. I believe there's no point in the time when your documentation is perfect, but it's a quite good documentation about like how it works with a lot of details. And you also can join our Discord link on our website. And there is like in annonces, we always tell about all new features with detailed explanations, with link on blog posts, with descriptions of all of these new features. So and our support is always open to your questions. So we'll be happy to help you with any kind of questions.
All right. Yes, indeed. And the website is in the show notes, folks. But drpc.org is the website. Konstantin, it is time to finish off the show. And we do that, of course, by running you through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. I'm just going to run some questions at you. This is just how we finish off the podcast with some hot take questions. I'm going to put some questions to you. It's just a bit of fun. I just want you to give me your honest answer, hot take style. Question one for you is, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Yeah, I don't have, let's say, strong opinion from like one or another side, because, like usually, especially in crypto Twitter, you just need to, put your own like on just one side. You're a Bitcoin maximalist, or you like Ethereum maximalist, or like multi-chain future. What I believe, there's a totally different audience and totally different markets, because guys who usually prefer Bitcoin, it's not guys who actually need DeFi. And if people like, it's quite common, let's say, opinion that people share with me, like, okay, in Bitcoin, there's a lot of money. Let's imagine we will build something on Bitcoin. If we will acquire even 10% of Bitcoin market cap, it will be a huge amount of money. But you will not acquire it, because Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just to save your money, at least how we like, and actually world consider it. It's not about, let's say, utility mechanics. It's more about just saving money, some kind of analogs of the gold. But if you speak about multi-chain, it's clearly utility. obviously not always. Sometimes it's just a scam, but like in many cases, it really has some utility.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Very well articulated. All right. Well, what would you say Konstantin, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
I believe, like, if I if I understand your question right, I believe my hottest take here, it's almost nobody need a token. Yeah, because like from my opinion, from the day one, like people push us to make a token, and we already operate like around 3 years, I believe, and we still don't have token and don't have plans for token. Why? Because there's a lot of tokens in the market, and you can cover like all of your cases or almost all of your cases with existing tokens. Obviously, there should be a reason why like people want to use their own tokens instead of Ethereum or stable coins. But like from my perspective, in 90 plus cases, it's about just, printing money from the air, selling it to the crowd, and just, like buy some Lambo, go to the sunset, something like that. Because if you really care about your users and you really care about your product, most likely you don't need to create a token. And I'm really waiting for like somebody who will explain me why they really need token if it's not a blockchain, because they need to cover the gas cost.
Yeah. Refreshingly candid, honest, and 100% accurate. I enjoyed that. Thank you, Konstantin. Here's a quote by William Gibson that you will have heard before. He famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Konstantin, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Yes, but like if you speak about blockchain exactly, like in particular, we can say about unbanked people, because I'm not sure that you remember this, but I hope so. In 2017, almost like everybody on ICO era, they spoke about, okay, we will serve unbanked people. And like everybody spoke about it, but to be honest, the majority of them don't care about unbanked people. They care about the same Lambda, but some of them actually built useful stuff. And now we can see a lot of adoption in Africa continent, like for example, in Nigeria, in other countries in this continent, there's a lot of users. You literally can see the people just, like sitting on the floor with just rice in some like stuff, just trying to washing rice. And at the same time, they buy meme coins on Solana. And like, it's totally insane, but it's how it works right now in nowadays. And recently we spoke with one of my teammates, and he told me like, we're always waiting for adoption, but what if adoption is already here and we don't need to wait any, let's say, new adoption? What if one of the main use cases for blockchain, it's actually just a kind of gambling? I really don't like this idea because I really don't like gambling. But there's a lot of sense in these words, just because if we will look at what is on hype, we will see that like Solana with meme coins, before that, Terra Luna with huge percentage of on stable coins and so on. So basically, it looks like kind of totalizator betting, gambling for new generation of people, unfortunately. But right now, it's really, like hottest topic in the crypto. And people who just trying to create ZK proofs, any kind of other pretty cool stuff, it's interesting more for VC funds, but not for end users, unfortunately.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. The final question for you, Konstantin, is what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Actually, a really interesting question, because I don't super fan of sci-fi movies and so on. it's more like about business literature that I spend time on. So yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, in that case, Konstantin, we reach the end of the show. So thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. Again, just to take it out, please do feel free to tell people what you guys have coming down the product pipeline. And yeah, again, just tell people where they can go to learn all about DRPC and the services that you provide.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, grpc.org. You can go there, connect to our Discord, and ask any questions there. And just to summarize what we built here, there's a just one-stop shop for you to getting the best experience with RPC. So basically, if you need to power your dApp, you just need to go to gRPC, create an endpoint link, and start using it, and you will love it, like for sure. And if you build your own blockchain, also you can connect with us. You can integrate your chain in our platform, and you will get like the best in class foundation dashboard. Nobody provided at the market right now, but we can provide it for you, and you will see the whole picture of how your public nodes are great. What is the real demand from geographical perspective? What is the asymmetry of coverage in your usage? So basically, what you will get from it, you can optimize your costs, and at the same time, you can provide the best possible experience for your users. So that's it.
Yes, indeed. And the link is in the show notes, folks. But yeah, as Konstantin said, drpc.org. Thank you so much, Konstantin. This was fun. All the best and bye for now.
Thank you, India. Have a good day.